It's a special push for me. Rabbi Groner and his son. And I'll tell you why. I happen to know his father-in-law, not the Sherman. But I go back with his late father. We were at each other's bar mitzvah, and that's quite sublime. Not only that, we went to yeshiva together, we were bosom friends. So it's very special that I get to meet Shimon Groner's son. Rav Meir, in the Gemara, we find a few places. In Yuma Pei Gimel, we learned the Gemara. Rav Meir was with other Tanoim. He didn't want to trust the innkeeper because Rav Meir held that someone's name is very significant and it depicts the person's character. And the person's name was Kedar Tapucha Sema. He didn't want to trust him. And there are other sources how Rav Meir holds that way. That he holds that a name is a raya for someone's personality. Well, at first blush, one would think that the name Groner is someone that's going to make you groan, which perhaps is fitting for Shabbos Chazon. But that's not where the name comes from. When the Gemara wants to describe a big bookie, the Gemara says, Hakol tzvichel l'morei bechite. And the word goyren depicts this in that someone is a morei bechite. Rav Groner is a Rosh Yeshiva, a well-known yeshiva that's producing Talmidei Chachamim, and it gives me great pleasure to present Rav Groner to all of you.
Part of the Rav's introduction does not become true. I hope I don't make that I am grown by the time I finish speaking. Thank you, Rabbi Mordechai, for inviting me, Rishus, Harav Cohen, and all the Rabbanim, and the Tashiva staff members here. To come speak on Shabbos Chazon, it's a tall task because it's a balance. Life is always a balance between staying happy and feeling sadness. And a person has to stay happy, but he also, it's mamad in the simple, you have to feel the sadness. So, but at the same time, we don't want people to be depressed. We don't want people walking around depressed. So you always have to keep a balance in life of simcha and at the same time being able to feel this man. Yiddishkeit, Judaism is full of times that request of us to feel emotional. This Purim, we gotta be happy. Gotta make l'chaim, to be happy, you're supposed to be b'simcha. Tisha Baav, you're supposed to be sad. The guy mixes it up, it's pretty bad. If he's Purim on Tisha Baav on Purim, it's all mixed up. So Yiddishkeit demands of us a balance to be in control of our emotions. Reminds me, there's a cute story. There's a cute story of this very wealthy man whose name was Raphael. He lived in a town, small town. He was the wealthiest guy in town. He employed the whole town. Everyone in town worked for him. But he had this one crank in his head. He didn't like to be happy. He wanted everyone to be sad. How is this thing? He wants everybody to be sad. So the whole town worked for him. They had no choice. If you wanted a job by your fall, you had to walk around depressed the whole day. What can you do? The problem was Sukkot was coming. Sukkot was coming. It's not the same. So Rafal said, Rabbi Sai, he calls a meeting with all his workers. He said, nobody in town can put up a sukkah. Nobody can put up a sukkah. He says, because if you put up a sukkah, you're going to sit down and sing, you're going to be happy. I can't have that here. I know it's a mitzvah, but what can I do? It's my Mishagatz, no happiness. There's one poor guy in town, one shlamazel in town, who didn't work. He was a poor guy. He was a beggar. He didn't work for a fault. He didn't have a problem. He wanted to put up a sukkah. The problem was he had no money for a sukkah. So he went around to all the people in town to beg them for some wood for his sukkah. But they were afraid to give him wood, because if they give him wood, the fall's going to fire them. So what does he do? He goes from one house to the next. Everybody says, I wish I could help you, but not this year, not this year. So Moshe, the beggar, goes to the base of forest. He goes to the cemetery, and he looks around, and he says, "Ah, kabal, they did it." After they bury someone, the bottom of the coffin, they leave the piece of wood there. So he's like, "I'll collect all the piece of wood from the cemetery. I'll make myself a sukkah." And the genie's idea. He puts up a zaz sukkah. Who takes the wood in the cemetery? This guy puts a zaz sukkah. Takes all the wood from the cemetery. It has markings on it. Rosh, Regel, has all the markings. Cemetery, he doesn't care. He's put up a ganze sukkah. It has everybody's names. Play Nitman. It's got everybody, everything on the piece of wood. He has a big sukkah. He's sitting the first on the sukkah, and the sukkah is zinked. He's singing his brains off. Rafal, this guy Rafal, the depressed guy, the owner, the boss, starts walking around town, and he sees it's very quiet. It's very quiet. There's no sukkahs. He was so happy, he almost got out of his depression. He was so happy that everybody listened to him. He managed to come out, got undepressed. Kids until he comes to the edge of town, and he hears a niggin coming from a sukkah. He's like, who didn't listen to me? Who didn't listen to me? And he comes to the sukkah, he barges in, and he sees the poor guy sitting there. He says, "What are you so happy?" He says, "When his sukkah comes down, he says, I have one question. Who gave you the wood for your sukkah?" So he said, he's getting angry. He says, "Tell me who gave you the wood." So Moshe the beggar says, "I'll tell you, but let's keep this between us." He says, the malka came to town. I was walking down the street. I was collecting one day, and I see the malka. He says to me, "Rabbi, could you help me out?" I said, "Sure, what's the problem?" He says, "I'm looking for a fall. I'm looking for a fall. It's his time to go. I need Rafal." He says, "Rafal, the rich guy?" I says, "Yeah." He says, He says, "You don't need to take him. He's so sad anyway, he's not living. You know, you could just leave him. He's fine." So Malcolm was so happy. He's like, "Oh, wow." He says, "You saved me a job. What could I do for you? How can I help you out?" He says, "I'm having a problem getting wood for my sukkah. Can you help me out?" He says, "Sure." So Rafal says to him, "Not true. Not true. Can't be." He says, "What are you talking about? Look at my sukkah. It's got all the markings of Malcolm on it." He says, "It's pushed that the sukkah can't." That's the message. And he was giving Rafal a message. He says, "You got to live life. There's a balance. You can't walk around your whole life and be sad. You can't walk around your whole life and just be happy for no reason. You have to have the balance of Yiddishkeit. And when you prepare for the avodah of Tisha Baav, you have to prepare with the balance." So I want to share with you. It says, an erlach has to be meitzah v'doyeg on the Churban Beis Hamikdash. He has to be mitzar, and he has to worry about it. We had a balkara today in our shul. Regularly, I can't call him the balabas anymore. He was reading Haftarah and he was crying. I came home for the Suda. I was like, Rabbi, I told my kids, I was like, I have new respect for this man. Guy comes and he works the whole week. He comes and he's able to cry during the Haftarah. It touched me. I was like, wow. Person who's matey is worried about the Churban Beis Hamikdash. So I want to share with you two approaches. Short. I'm going to speak not too long. I don't speak long. I speak short. I'll tell you a little piece of melava. I'll tell you a piece of Sharm Tefillah with one other thing, and then I'll come my whole drush. Naim Melech asked along the Shashad. Ready? Naim Melech asked the Shad. Simple Shad. This week's part. He says like this. He says, we know ain't tzaddik ba'aretz asher yasa toiv v'lo yafka. Every tzaddik has some sort of sin, a backlash or whatever it is. Every person did an affair, of course they did tshuva. Al kaharak for bayayim because he did tshuva. But we know that there's such a thing that people do affairs. How could you go do a mitzvah with the aver that you did an affair? For example, a person goes and he says lashon hara with his mouth. So that means there was a pagam in his mouth now. How could you go use it to say Krishna? Person heard something or used his eyes to see something not supposed to. How do you go ahead and do a mitzvah with your eyes now? How could the Kiddush be chal? That's not another melach shayla. How could you go ahead and do a mitzvah with a part of you that sinned? Fire shayla. Fire shayla. He says, "Avar Rabbeisai, life changing, life changing one. Right to change the lifestyle." The Rabbi Mordechai says there's a world called Kol Yisrael. Whatever that means. And in Yonim and Svarim it says there's a world called Yisrael. The Chet doesn't touch that world. When a Yid attaches himself to Kol Yisrael, therefore that whole world of Kol Yisrael becomes a world of no sin. Even though there are details of the world that sin, but the whole belt called Kol Yisrael is a non-sinning world. So when you attach yourself to that world called Kol Yisrael, you can do as many mitzvahs as you want, because there's no sin, there's no bad. But how does a person attach himself to Kol Yisrael? How do you attach yourself to the world called Gans Klal Yisrael? Two simple malka, and this is where it changes your life. Two simple ways to attach yourself to Kol Yisrael. Sitting here in this beautiful camp, I heard so much about Camp Munk all the years. I heard so many beautiful things about it. There's one thing that always sticks in my mind. Tell me if I'm right. There's a certain, every camp, it's nice, beautiful, and every camp has its milas, kasroinus. I believe this camp has a huge milas of loyalty. Camp Munk, Yidden are loyal. The mamish, it's in their blood. The mamish are part of it. There's something, some sort of after that you hear about. It's kaval. It's an amazing thing. All the years, talk to people from 20, 30, 10, 5 years ago. I Camp Munk. It's like they live it. It's a badge of honor. So I believe that what I'm about to say really belongs here in Camp Munk. There's a yesod called Kol Yisrael. Right? You spend the summer, you spend your life with other people. You don't live in our own island. We live with people. Kol Yisrael means that I look at another Yid and I'm okay with the other guy even if he's not like, I'm okay with the other guy even if he gets me nervous. After some Klal Yisrael, being nice to another Yid, obviously Yisrael doesn't mean being nice to the Yidden that are perfectly like you. I believe camp is an atmosphere and like you feel a vibe. I was just talking to my cousins today. There's something called a vibe, right? The young generation look at the vibe. It is my vibe. It's not my vibe. I'm just still trying to figure out exactly what it means. It's a vibe. It's a feeling. A vibe is a feeling. You have a vibe. So when I walk in there, I have a vibe that the island here gets along. That's my feeling. All right, Rabbi Mordechai, it's a vibe. Right? There's an amazing atmosphere. There's an amazing feeling of connection. And the pshat is that every year, if you see the positive in someone else, the vibe is fine. Of course, there's negatives. My mother-in-law, Rabbi Cohen will appreciate this. My mother-in-law, Shom, used to always say, the ganze Welt is meshuga, except me and you, and I have serious doubts about you. That was the line. The whole world is straight except me and you, I got serious doubts about you. Which means we always think we're perfect. The other guy's nuts. I gotta tell you a funny story. I wasn't going to say this, not in my notes, but it's a funny story anyway. I'll share it tonight. Years ago, I was learning with the Talmud. Early morning, it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. He did a bakery run. You see those bakery trucks that drive around and they drop off the breads in the summer? It's always like some yeshiva guys doing it. And so I had some of my guys from my yeshiva, they did it. And they would come over with me after the run at 7 a.m. So they finished the bakery run, and they would come along with me. One morning I'm learning with the guy on the porch, and his phone keeps ringing and had a song on the phone. I was like, do me a favor, Shia. I was like, can I hold your phone until after we learn? He said, sure, no problem, Reb. He gives me his phone, I stick it into my pocket. It was one of those Nokias. You guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but people a little bit older know there was those Nokia phones straight up. It had Snake on it. It was the only game that it had. You could play 7 hours straight Snake. Anyway, this was the Nokia phone this guy had. I put it in my pocket, and he goes, we finished learning. I forgot to give him back his phone. I got a daven in some Hasidic shul in Woodridge, and he leaves, goes on his bakery truck. I'll see him. and all of a sudden I hear Rabbi Nachman Beyuman playing loud with music. I'm like, wow, these guys don't shut their phones. What's going on? Check your phones. Moshe Manasseh. At least you. Shine. It goes through the whole song. Got me. Up to Sim Shalom, I hear the song blaring again. I'm now just like, wow. Wow. I say it's a Shalom. I pick my towels up and I see the people looking at me. I'm like, you guys looking at me? I'm looking at you guys. Are you crazy? You guys are the ones playing this song. Shine. I still don't remember I had the phone in my pocket. I walk out into the parking lot, and all of a sudden the phone rings again. I'm like, Groner, you're the Meshuggah. You thought it was the other guys. It's you. In life, you always think it's the other guy. That's the way in life, it's always the other guy. It's not perfect. In the avoid of Kol Yisrael, the Rebbe Melech is saying, you want to be Mishtayach to Klal Yisrael? You want to be part of Kol Yisrael? Geval. You have to look at the Toiv in everyone. So you want to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash? We want to avoid this week. To avoid this rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash. Find the good in all the guys that get you nervous. All the guys that are not perfectly like you, be toiv. Oh, wow, this year has goodness there. That's a number one. Number two is a little bit hard, I think. Number two is a little bit hard. The Svarim say in the avoid of Dal Lakat Schos. Okay, this is the second part of the Vart, and then I'm finished with a mice. The avoid of Dal Lakat. Am I overtime yet, mother? I know I'm a cock. I just don't have. Guys, you good? You good? 3 minutes? Okay, I'm good. The second part it says, "Avidanas kaladam lakavskos." Judge everybody favorably. You have to judge everyone favorably. The Svarim bring down. Not only judge the other person favorably, judge yourself favorably. You have to look at yourself and find the goodness within yourself. You live in a tough world. We live in a world that we're pushed down, we push ourselves down, we're very hard on ourselves. And it's good to be hard on yourself to an extent. You have to work on yourself, and that's an avodah. But it's also a very big avodah to find the toiv within yourself. Every person is mechuyev to find the goodness within himself. So I really believe, the way you become part of Kol Yisrael is by seeing the goodness within you, even if you're not perfect. Because we do errors, we do things we're not supposed to do. But we knock ourselves like, what's going to be with me? I did some errors. Am I going to be good? Rosh Hashanah is coming up. Tisha Baav, I want to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Avidanas Koladim Kavskos, a person has to look within himself. How wide does a person have to look within himself? So deep, even like Menashe Melech Yisrael. Listen to the Maisa. This is not the Maisa I was talking about, but there's a Chazal, Menashe Melech Yisrael, it's a Medrash. Menashe Melech Yisrael, son of Chizkiyahu. So Menashe was, at the beginning of his life, was terrible. It's terrible. Avodah Zarah was terrible. He was mamish. He's put out Avodah Zarah, and whole history of how he did things terrible. And Lashon is that it says that they caught him, the guy who caught him, they put him, I don't know exactly the translation of it, they put him into some sort of metal barrel, they were going to heat him up and burn him to death. Oh, he got nervous, Menashe got nervous. So the time of reckoning has arrived. He started calling out to all his Avodah Zarahs. He's a palace, he starts calling all his Avodah Zarahs, come save me, save me, save me. Of course the Avodah Zarahs can save him. So he says, I remember what my father used to say, Chizkiyahu used to say, when things pain you and life is difficult, so listen to the chutzpah Menashe. Don't ever do this. Listen to Menashe's chutzpah. Menashe says, okay, Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm going to ask you to save me. If you save me, then you're better than the Avodah Zarah gods. If you don't save me, you're just like the Avodah Zarahs. Right? Shtei Malachi Asharis says for Chodesh Tefillah, there's different Midrash and Avodah. This is what happened. And you know what the Malachim said? This guy's not coming back. We're not letting him in. He's had chutzpah like that. He's served Avodah Zarah his whole life. Now he's in trouble. He wants Hashem, so we're going to save him. He's out. Steht in Medrash what HaKadosh Baruch Hu do ma'as HaKadosh Baruch Hu is chot ha'chatir tachas kisei HaKavod. The Rebbeinu Shalom dug a trench. He dug a tunnel under the holy throne. The Rebbeinu Shalom's throne is a shteit. I don't know what it means. He brought up the tefillas of Menashe and he forgave him. Frek the Heilig Yisharim b'tefillah. Shum Shapinkas Atzal says, L'maisa Malachim, all right. Is that chutzpah? Is that disrespect to Rebbeinu Shalom? Your whole life you didn't serve Hashem, and all of a sudden now you're in? What happened? He says, you're so nifl, don't forget this your whole life. Your whole life you can remember this, that Groner said this big vow. Tamid, Shem Shapingi says, the Rabbi Shalom was saying, if I don't accept this tefillah, I don't accept this tshuva, that means there's a gvul, there's a boundary to my rachman. The Rabbi Shalom, there's no boundary to his rachman. The Rabbi Shalom, there's no gvul to his rachman. Even a person like Menashe that says that, the Rabbi Shalom says, I bring it back. Vada is malachim of tshuva. Every Yid has to understand. There's a chet of tshuva. There's 3 steps, 4 steps of tshuva. Every person has to do is avoid this at tshuva. Avoid this at tshuva is it's not a free ride. A Yid can chas v'shalom think to himself, I got a free ride, okay, come like that. But a person has to realize when he looks back at himself and say, I can be down myself l'kav zchus, even to become part of Kol Yisrael, even if I don't feel like I belong. And I believe that belongs. Who can relate to that? That we can tell ourselves now, for Tisha Baav, I want to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. I want to be in the Beis HaMikdash. I want to be Meichen. But say it's a reality. Beis HaMikdash Mashiach has to become a reality. The whole world is changing. We have to think to ourselves, it could be a reality. But on Thursday, I could visit all of you. It's Hashem, Beis HaMikdash. We got to Shalayim, Mashiach, Chavro. We got to make this a reality. You have to be Mishtayach to call yourself, to bring yourself to call Yisrael. I'm going to end with the mice. Can I end with the mice? I'm going to end with the mice. Yes, here's my end. It's a fine mice I heard. The mice I heard happened in concentration camps. There was a Rav of a town, his name was Rabbi Moshe, I forget his last name. It's a Helig Rabbi Moshe, and I forgot the name of the town. It was a famous town, one of the European towns. And every night when they used to come back from the work, from the barracks, he used to give them chizuk. They'll give them chizuk, they'd come together for a few minutes. And it's hard to imagine the level of fear and the level of desperation that these Yidden lived. They never knew. We look back at the war and we say, okay, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They didn't know it was going to end. They had no idea how long it's going to go. And they live with the Amunah, it's going to be okay. Imagine you're living with the Amunah, you have no idea when the Tzara is going to end, and you live with the Amunah, it's going to be okay. So this Rabbi Moshe every night would get the Chevra together and we'd give them 2-3 words of chizuk, a minute of chizuk, 30 seconds, 2 minutes of chizuk, and then they would go to sleep. One night, to get them together, he says, you know what tonight is, Rabbi Yisai? Tonight is Leil Rosh Hashanah. Like you have them. You have here nothing. There's nothing here. We have nothing in the camps. So it's Rosh Hashanah. We have no Batfila, there's no Shofar, there's nothing. So the Heilig Rav Moshe sticks his hand into his pocket and he pulls out a little cup. He says, let's make Kiddush, Rabbi Yisai. We're going to make Kiddush now. But we don't have wine, we don't have grape juice. But we all have tzaras. I'm going to take the cup, and we're going to cry and say out tzaras, let the tears fill up the cup. And everybody's standing around, and they pass the cup around from person to person, and everybody cries, the tzaras. And the cup starts filling up. It's more and more full. Do you imagine, Rabbi Yisrael? It gives me the shivers to think of that circle. And he passes the cup around till it gets full. And he picks up the cup and he looks up to Shema and says, Rabbeinu Shalom, look at your Yid. Look at your Yid. Look how amazing we are. Look at amazing Klal Yisrael. This is a cup full of tzaras. There's a cup full of tzaras here. And every Yid here lost families, lost members, and still we're coming together on Leil Rosh Hashanah to say Kiddush to your Eibush. And with that, he made Kiddush on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi said, we're not in a concentration camp of Hashem. But everyone has a little packle with them. Everybody has something. Everybody needs Mashiach for their own proteistic of things. Everybody needs their own salvation. They need Yeshua, small way, big way. Everybody needs something. And in Achana for the Heilig Tisha Baav, we want to become part of Kol Yisrael. We want to chap onto the Amunah of Animam and the Amunah Shlem. We're going to believe. V'afal pishiyas mameh. Im kol ze'achakal. I'm still going to wait, Rabbi Shalom. I'm going to take all my tzaras and I'm going to make Kiddush to you. I'm going to take everything, all my nisyonis, all my affairs, all my difficulties, all my tests. I'm going to go to your Eibush and I'm going to say, I'm making Kiddush. I'm going to be Mekadosh myself to become part of Kol Yisrael. I'm going to ask you to sing with me the Helik Niggin of Ani Mam. I'm going to sing that Niggin. And hopefully, Mitzvah Shem, we're going to believe that this should be our Kiddush Shem Shemayim, Be'emunah Shleim, with the full Emunah. B'vias HaMashiach, Mashiach is going to come. Mashiach is going to take us out. Mashiach is going to make our lives even greater than we could ever imagine. Sing with me. Ani Mamin, Ani Thank you for having me as a devotee.